really got to try on that left-hand side. What happened?
But I've gone up and over and bloody head over biscuit. It wasn't enough stability there for myself, but no, I was busting for a bit of meat this game. It didn't seem to work out.
Hello, cheers, and welcome to the Scrum of the Earth, the podcast for news, reviews, great interviews, and so much more, all about the world of rugby. My name is David Lawrence. I'm an American rugby fan who follows the game wherever I can find it all over the globe. We're part of the Sports Social Network, and you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the usual places. If you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe. And if you could tell a friend, it would really help to grow the show. So starting as always with our current updates, and the kind of obvious update is our format change that we've implemented this week. This is your All-American episode. We'll be covering the latest rounds of Major League Rugby and the WER Women's Elite Rugby, as well as the Pacific 4 Series. Earlier this week, we started with a URC episode. We did a combo Premiership and Top 14 episode, and then a Super Rugby Pacific episode as well. So we're kind of parsing out all these different competitions, and I'm hoping that you like this new format. As something new, we're going to also do a little bit of background work on these competitions this week, mostly for new listeners, but I do feel sure that there are fans out there who might just enjoy, spending a little more time on the history. So starting as always with our reviews, we'll look at Major League Rugby first. For new listeners and the generally curious, I wanted to talk a bit about how this league came to be in the first place. So I am a Free Jacks founding member and season ticket holder, so I'll kind of be focusing mostly on them. But before Major League Rugby, there was another attempt at professional rugby in the U.S. called Pro Rugby, which began in 2016 but was very short-lived. MLR learned from past efforts and aimed to build a sustainable professional league. This league is headquartered in Dallas, Texas, and has steadily expanded since its inception, adding more teams, including a Canadian team at one point. It operates as a single entity, similar to Major League Soccer, with each team owning a share of the league. As for my beloved Free Jacks, while officially joining MLR in 2020, they actually started competing professionally in October 2018. They played a series of exhibition matches in 2019, the Cara Cup. I was there, going 1-7 in those matches, which helped build their roster and brand. Their first match was against the Ontario Arrows in Halifax, Nova Scotia. These early rosters combined seasoned professional players from the defunct Pro Rugby competition with top local talent from clubs like Boston Irish Wolfhounds and Mystic River Rugby. The Free Jacks made their official MLR debut in the 2020 season. However, you'll probably remember their inaugural season was cut short due to the COVID-19 pandemic, with the team holding a 1-4 record when they called it. Fun fact, I still have my Free Jacks opening day t-shirt dated March 13th, 2020. And yeah, that was Friday the 13th. It was literally the day the state of Massachusetts went into lockdown. So following that season, the Free Jacks began to establish themselves as a force in the league. Under coach Scott Matthew, they saw significant success, including a 13-3 record in 2022. Securing the top seed in the Eastern Conference and making their first playoff appearance. They reached the Eastern Conference Championship. Regular listeners will recall what happened then, because the rules about player acquisition hadn't really been flushed out entirely. New York went and signed Nihi Milner-Scudder and Waisaki Naholo just in time for the playoffs. And then they came to our home and kicked our butts before winning a frankly embarrassing final at a high school field in New Jersey, and then subsequently folding entirely. Yeah. Good times. So despite that setback, though, the Free Jacks have achieved remarkable success in recent years. They set a team record in 2023 with a 14-2 season, again earning home field advantage for the Eastern Conference Championship. They defeated Old Glory DC 25-7 to win their first conference title and advance to their first MLR championship. In a thrilling final against the San Diego Legion, a game I attended in Chicago, they secured a 25-24 victory with a game-winning try in the 76th minute. It was amazing, claiming their first MLR shield. Jason Patras was named the championship game MVP and MLR Player of the Year. Little side note, Jason Patras, we call him Potty. It was his year. He won a championship with us and MVP, then went right back to Taranaki and the NPC and won a championship with them. 2 championships in the same calendar year for a truly remarkable player. The Free Jacks continue their dominance in 2024, going 11-5, securing the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference for the 3rd consecutive year. They once again won the Eastern Conference Championship, defeating Chicago Hounds 23-17, and went on to beat the Seattle Seawolves 20-11 in the MLR Championship, becoming the second team in MLR history to win back-to-back titles. The New England Free Jacks have quickly become a powerhouse in Major League Rugby, not just through their on-field success, but also through their dedication to growing the sport and engaging with the New England community. If you're curious, just in the past few weeks, I've had chats with TK, he's our general manager, and Thomas Wheelsy Grant, our director of community and entertainment. I highly recommend giving them both a listen. They're really interesting guys, and they have a ton of insights into, the nuts and bolts and how this competition really works. So anyway, this weekend, it was kind of a frustrating result for my Free Jacks. It was the second time in a row we'd gone down to Florida and lost. It was the Miami Sharks 30, Free Jacks 19. It was the first game of the year for Free Jacks fan favorite Kyle the Eagle Sequeira, another Free Jack I've interviewed a ways back. And this coming weekend, Haverhill, Massachusetts native Cam DeWitowitz, he'll make his return as well. We love our homegrown players here. Prop Tavita Soleil, he secured the Free Jacks' only try of the first half after hustling from midfield to collect a Sharks miscue, with Dan Hollinshead making the conversion. The score at halftime was 13-7 in favor of Miami. Vian Conradi, he scored 2 second-half tries for the Free Jacks, but wasn't enough to overcome Miami's lead. Despite the loss, New England Free Jacks still hold the first place in the Eastern Conference and have already clinched a playoff spot. As I record this, we're almost exactly 1 day away from a huge matchup against our only sort of remaining Eastern Conference rival, DC Old Glory. And by the way, if you happen to tune in for that broadcast, you will see my partner performing the national anthem ahead of the game. So elsewhere, on Friday, or I should say our game was on Friday, but on Saturday, the Houston SaberCats, or as I call them, the Thundercats, they more than doubled up the enigmatic Utah Warriors 40-19. On Sunday, Anthem lost by an eerily similar scoreline, 19-41 to DC. For those of you who don't know, Anthem, apart from having a stupid name, they are a unique club. They were, for a lack of a better word, they were foisted upon Major League Rugby by World Rugby. So just to sort of back up a little bit, as Thomas Grant pointed out in our recent chat, apart from other factors, an issue in American rugby is the multiple bodies that are governing different aspects of the sport. We have USA Rugby. They obviously want the Eagles to put in a good showing in our own home World Cups. Therefore, their priorities are centered on player development, academies, pathways, and so on, whatever it takes to get our domestic players up to a higher level. On the other hand, Major League Rugby is an independent commercial enterprise, and their goal is to create an exciting product on the field and grow interest in themselves in Major League Rugby. Therefore, the best teams have historically had a lot of foreign players on their rosters, my own team included. At some point in an offseason, not this past one, but the one just before that, World Rugby decided that they are, officially worried about the rate of growth of the sport here. And they talked about concerns over how we would represent the sport on a global stage when we host the premier world event for both men and women. Their solution was to kind of twist MLR's arm into adding a team whose focus would be American. It was to have mostly domestic players. It was, obvious that winning an MLR Shield would not be their priority. Getting American players better at rugby would be. The upside is, yes, I agree we could use a lift, undoubtedly. And this season, the Anthem became the first MLR team to field an all-USA qualified 23 for a professional game. The downside is they're not very good. And in their first 2 seasons, they have yet to win a game. I have a feeling they're going to get their first win this season, but it is a rocky uphill pathway for them. I'm trying to have faith in the system, but it's just not always easy. Anyway, the team that I like to call the Bell Ends of Los Angeles, they grabbed themselves a nice little win away to hot and cold Chicago Hounds, 24-26. In case you're curious, the LA logo is supposed to look like an acorn with the symbolism of growth and so on, but let's all face it, an acorn is not the first thing you think of when you see that logo. But the game of the week had to be a massive clash between MLR stalwarts Seattle and San Diego. The Seawolves are the only team besides my Free Jacks who have won a title and still actually exist, while the Legion have historically been right at the top in the West every season. It was they who would lose that final in Chicago to New England. Another side note, the Legion have had the immortal Nanu on their team for several years. He's actually kind of moved into an executive role now as an investor while he's over in Toulon, I think he is now. Either way, I am a huge fan of his, but in all honesty, he might have cost them the game that day with 2 critical errors very late. Like, he basically had an open door for a game-winning try, and the ball kind of doinked off him. Like, you could maybe blame the pass, but this is Nanu. He really should have had it. Thank all gods he had an off day that day. After the game, we were all on the field. I tried to get a picture with him, but he took one look at my Free Jacks kit and walked away. Totally fair play. So with 3 rounds to go, my Free Jacks are assured of a playoff spot and top the Eastern Conference with 45 points. DC are second. We're looking to put a damper on that tomorrow. Chicago are third. And the new guys, Miami Sharks, they're in fourth. And I have to admit, they are an exciting team. Out west, the Thundercats are on top with 47 points, and they have the same record as us. Utah, or as I call them, the rugby team of Latter-day Saints, they're second. San Diego are third, and don't look now, the Bellends are right there in fourth. Amazing growth in just 2 seasons for LA and Miami, and I honestly think this is the best season yet in Major League Rugby in terms of parity and just overall quality. So switching over to our other domestic competition, the newly formed Women's Elite Rugby, the WER, a competition that effectively grew out of the WPL, which traces its roots back to 2009 when it was established as a player-run organization aiming to provide a competitive platform for women's rugby in the United States. At its inception, the league emerged out of a growing need for structured and high-caliber competition that would allow women rugby players to showcase their skills and compete at a top level. Recognizing the lack of opportunities for women in rugby, especially at the elite level, a group of players and national team coaches, spearheaded by the legendary Kathy Flores and Alex Williams, took the initiative to create a league that would address this gap and provide a pathway for advancement in the sport. Throughout its history, the WPL has served as a vital catalyst for the growth and development of women's rugby in the U.S. by providing a platform for elite competition and fostering a culture of inclusivity and empowerment. The league played a significant role in advancing the sport and breaking down barriers for female athletes. I'm really hoping to get some special guests on to talk about the WER, the WPL, all this incredible history and what we see coming in the future. Unless it's not obvious, I'm very, very excited about this competition. A week from tomorrow, my partner and I will be going to our first Boston Banshees game. I simply can't wait. So there were just 2 fixtures this weekend, starting with my Banshees hosting winless Chicago Tempest. The trend continued, my team really pushing them around a bit, 49-12. We got a hat trick from Katie Lohaus, and Chicago, they're having a nightmare season. I honestly hope they get a win or 2, as long as it's not against us. The other match this weekend was, of course, the New York Exiles, continuing to look comparatively good. Sorry, as a Bostonian, I am obligated to hate anything and everything from the trash pit that is New York City. They beat Twin Cities Gemini 31-22. 1 try and 2 conversions made the difference. And at this point, the cream really does seem to be rising to the top. Denver Onyx, they're still unbeaten at 6-0. My Banshees are second. The stupid team from New York that nobody likes is in third. Bay Breakers are close behind, and Gemini aren't too far off. But poor Chicago still have only a single table point after losing 7 in a row. Gotta say, though, the elephant in the room is DAZN, no longer carrying the WER. If you hadn't already seen it, there was an online streaming platform called DAZN, DAZN, and it was free, and you just sign up, and you got all the WER matches, and poof, that deal has gone away. All broadcasting's gone. All the details are very sketchy. Everyone seems mad. It seems like a money thing, but no matter how you slice it, it sucks. Like, the broadcasts were really good, and we just can't go from having actual broadcasts to, okay, here's my phone taking a video while I'm there that I can post to YouTube. Like, come on, we have got to figure this out. So moving on to the Pacific 4 competition, it was right back at it. It's been a disappointing showing for USA fans. Though there was some news about professional contracts just this week. It was greeted very warmly as far as I can tell, but I don't have any info on it all yet. Let's hope it's as good news as people have kind of been saying. So in this tournament, things are grim for my Eagles. I'm not going to lie. I thought we had a good chance to beat this Wallaroos team this weekend. It didn't really end up feeling close. And of course, I mean, Liv Kelter, I don't know what to say. Like, it seems so out of character for her. I'm sure she's an absolute mess right now over how this kind of impacted the team. She's been handed a multi-week ban for stomping, and the public's reaction seems to be that it's way too lenient. If there's a plus side, I guess, stop me if you heard this before, Hope Rogers getting a hat trick, and I'm not sure where we'd be without her at this point. We've really got to get our act together. I've already heard her talking about how she's not going to be doing this much longer. The prospect is a bit frightening. On the other side of the action, Ashley Marster's got a brace for the Aussies, and it was a big win for them, 27-19 in the capital. New Zealand, of course, they were somewhat nervously hosting Canada. The lead-up montage, it was amazing. The pomp and circumstance of the whole affair was fantastic. During the haka, Portia Woodman-Wycliffe, she had a face that said, I am scoring a try today, and I don't care who I have to put on her butt to do it. The more, the better. That was, of course, just my, semi-professional interpretation. Sorensen McGee, 3 tries in 2 games at 18 years old, and that third one was only 5 minutes into this one. They referred to her as the teenage fullback, which sounds like either a song or a movie from the 1950s if you happen to live in New Zealand. At 12 and a half minutes, the comms exploded with Canada bust through the heart of the New Zealand defense, and you felt like we were really in for something special, all tied at 7. It was quite literally as close as it could be. The lead seesawing the Kiwis with a chance to steal it right at the end, but they couldn't quite get there. Ruahei Demant devastated, but an absolute banger of a game. It was a draw, 27-all, putting them tied at 8 table points, but New Zealand have an edge via points differential, so they will be loaded for bear this final weekend. Speaking of which, they will be playing my USA Eagles in North Harbor, swiftly becoming a really happening place on the rugby map, by the way. And they're going to be dead set on a 5-pointer, and they're going to be trying to pile it on. I'm looking forward to seeing how we respond. I'm expecting to see some big defense. I want to make it hard for them to get through. I think if we make them work, they might make mistakes, especially if they're really going for the points. Like, we have the players to capitalize on mistakes. This is me trying to psych myself up. The final fixture of the tournament, by the way, I love this competition. And by the way, it makes no sense. Like, I've joked about it here on the show before. The organizers, at some point before this happened, they must have been in a room, and somebody was like, what even connects these 4 countries? And some intern, as a joke, was like, the Pacific Ocean? And one of them was like, yep, that's it. And thus ended the meeting. Anyway, the final fixture is Australia hosting Canada in Brisbane. There's a lot riding on this one. If the Wallaroos can put in a good shift, they could overtake the Canadians, of course. Could go the other way if Canada get a bonus point win and my Eagles hold the Black Ferns to no bonus points. Canada could steal it. By the way, when you look back at the history of this competition, only 2 teams have won it, New Zealand and Canada. Looks like that trend is going to continue this year. But, here's to the USA putting on a good show this weekend. Let's make things hard for them. In the Ruck Award. This week, the award goes to Hope Rogers. Ms. Rogers, you have been a stalwart for our Eagles since you were first capped against France in 2013. You are now the most capped Eagle with 53. You have represented us at 3 consecutive World Cups and lost your intentions to play the next one. You are indescribably important to this team, but you're also an incredible person and an inspiration to people all over the globe. Hope Rogers, congratulations to you, for you are this week's Diamond in the Ruck. Well done. Okay, my friends, that, of course, brings us to our reviews and updates. This coming week, we've already kind of covered the final round of the Pac-4, I guess the Pacific 4. Right? Pac-4, that's a different competition entirely. Major League Rugby and Women's Elite Rugby. They're both getting started within a few hours of this recording right now. I can't wait to talk about it all over again. So we're hoping to get more voices on here as well. So give your feedback and suggestions. We're definitely in sort of an evolutionary stage and would love your input. Well, my friends, that does it for another week. I'm really enjoying parsing out these different competitions into different episodes. This one took the longest. I'm sorry it took until now to get it out, but I kind of wanted to just make sure I got it right, as it's part of a conversation I'm having with another podcast. Sorry to be cryptic. That's all I'm really going to say for now, though. But so, to all of you across the globe, cheers. Talk to you soon, and be well.
It gives me great pleasure to be here today.
Oh, it does, neat.
You want to tempt the wrath of the whatever from high atop the thing?
I wish I could get up at 11:30 every morning after being out all night God knows where.